Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome.
Welcome. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Canto 3, Chapter 33, Text 30.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 30. My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage, and she achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul without difficulty. Purport. 3 words have been used in this connection to describe the achievement of Devahuti: Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam, and Bhagavatam. These refer to the gradual process of discovery of the Absolute Truth, mentioned herein as the Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides in various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means to extinguish the pangs of material existence. When one is able to enter into the spiritual kingdom or into spiritual realization, one is automatically free from material pangs. That is called Brahma Nirvana. According to Vedic scriptures, Nirvana means cessation of the materialistic way of life. Atmanam means realization of the super soul within the heart. Ultimately, the highest perfection is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is to be understood that Devahuti entered the planet which is called Kapila Vaikuntha. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets predominated by the expansions of Vishnu. As we understand from Brahma Bhuta, Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam.
From Brahma Bhutam, Brahma Samhita. Sorry, I was saying Brahma Bhutam and then you started quoting Brahma Samhita.
Forgive me. Ananta means innumerable.
Read that sentence again.
Okay, I shall repeat.
Okay.
As we understand from Brahma Samhita, Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Ananta means innumerable. The Lord has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form, and according to the different positions of the symbolic representations in his 4 hands, he is known as Narayan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, etc. There is also a Vaikuntha planet known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devahuti was promoted to meet Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son. It's so nice, no?
Interesting.
So Devahuti left her body, and then it was a win-win for her because she went back to the spiritual world, and not just any old part of the spiritual world, but that part of the spiritual world where her son is.
Yeah, not just like any old part of the spiritual world. Like, like every part of the spiritual world is like amazing, right?
Maybe. Because we find that there are different rasas.
Yeah, of course.
So if I was to go to Nishingadev Vaikuntha, as it were, I'm not saying I wouldn't be happy, and I don't want him to think I won't be happy and whatever he might think or do with that, but my rasa may lie elsewhere.
Yes, agreed. At the same time, of course, the spiritual world is a spiritual world, and it's all on the absolute platform. True. But I get it. It was just kind of funny, like, you know.
Yeah, I get
like not just any old part of London or Los Angeles, you know, which has
but
like
for her,
dodgy parts.
For her, it's a win-win because it's where she's got the object of her affection.
Yeah.
Her transcendental son, so she did well out of that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, it kind of sounds, a little bit like, some religions that promise at the time of death you'll go and be with your family elsewhere and things like that, which, of course, we understand to a greater or lesser extent. Those persons we're associating with here, they may, they may have spiritual forms, and we may be connected with them in the spiritual world. Although it's unlikely in this kind of manifestation, but yeah. So I guess that's there.
But that's not always an incentive. Like when I was living with my parents and that we had regular knocks on the door by Jehovah's Witnesses, I'd like to talk to them. They were happy because most people don't talk to them. I encouraged it because I like to practice what I was learning in Prabhupada's books. So I'd start debating, and then they stopped coming for some reason. But when they were coming, they would leave a leaflet, and I would look at this stuff. I want to see what they're saying. I'm interested. It was all colourful, and then you open up, and more often than not, it would be their idea of the spiritual world, and there would be
heaven.
Yeah, and there would be kids and adults, and but there'd be tigers and bears, and there'd be animals and everything. And then I was thinking, when I was reading it one time, thinking, but this might not be an incentive for everyone. Oh, when you die you'll go back to your loved ones will be there, because you might not want them there eternally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's like an ongoing joke, I guess. Do you really want to meet all your family members in the spiritual world?
Yeah, of course, just in case they're watching.
Okay, text 31. The place where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapad. Text 32. Dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now a flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go bathe there. I wonder if it seems like he's talking about a metaphorical river rather than an actual river. Of course, he might be talking about an actual river. I'm not sure where Siddhapad is. You've heard of Siddhapad?
No.
My dear Vidura, the great sage Kapila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast. Text 34. While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Charanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Purport. It is understood that Kapila Muni first went towards the Himalayas and traced the course of the river Ganges, and he again came to the delta of the Ganges at the sea now known as the Bay of Bengal. The ocean gave him residence at a place still known as Ganga Sagara, where the river Ganges meets the sea. That place is called Ganga Sagara Tirtha, and even today people gather there to offer respects to Kapila Dev, the original author of the Sankhya system of philosophy. Unfortunately, this Sankhya system has been misrepresented by an impostor who is also named Kapila. But that other system of philosophy does not tally with anything described in the Sankhya of Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Interesting. So classic situation, I guess you could say. needs to be some sort of copyright here, because you got one Kapila who speaks Sankhya philosophy. It's here in the pages of the Bhagavatam, and then another Kapila comes along and says, no, this is Sankhya. And it can be a little confusing. So who actually has the correct version, or like that? And of course we accept the Bhagavatam as a scripture, so we clearly accept this, whereas the other perspective may not gel with the Siddhanta, with the theology. So like that. Prabhupada will often talk about it, and he'll say that when they're speaking about Sankhya, they're not speaking about the false Sankhya of the imposter Kapila, or the use another term, like that, the imposter Kapila. So yeah, like that.
Text 35. Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds, and all the acharyas, or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy, are worshipping him. Text 36. My dear son, since you have inquired for me, I have answered. O sinless one, the descriptions of Kapila Dev and his mother and activities are the purest of all pure discourses. Text 37. The description of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Oh, there you go.
Wow, perfect. Hare Krishna.
Purport. The narration of Kapila Dev and his mother Devahuti is so perfect and transcendental that even if one only hears or reads this description, he achieves the highest perfectional goal of life. For he engages in the loving service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no doubt that Devahuti, who had the Supreme Lord as her son, and who followed the instructions of Kapila Dev so nicely, attained the highest perfection of human life.
Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 33rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Activities of Kapila. Thus ends the third canto.
Oh, there you go.
Of Srimad Bhagavatam.
There you go.
And although the goal is not to finish,
no,
or reach the end, but somehow there's a satisfaction, when you finish an entire canto. What to speak of a chapter? Sometimes what to speak of a purport.
Well, it's a form of austerity, and austerity doesn't have to be a negative word, but it's a form of austerity in a positive spiritual sense. So you feel like, if we were just discussing fasting days or whatever, so if you do Ekadashi or some fasting during a festival, if you achieve it, there can be, I did that, and I managed to chant my rounds, I did a bit of reading, but it doesn't have to be negative, I did some austerity, man, I tried my rounds. It can be like that, but for sure it feels, tick one off. It's good. It's progress. We have to fill the time and the brain and all that with something. Yeah. And if we weren't doing this, you'd tick something else off or someone else off.
Yeah, tick somewhere else off. So this is nice. This is, I think it's called Shruti Pal, which means a fruit of Shruti. Shruti means something heard. So this is you'll notice as you read through the Bhagavatam that at the end of some pastimes or sections, then Shukadev Goswami or whoever is reading, so I'm not sure if this is who is it that's speaking? Vidura and Maitreya Muni.
Yeah.
But either way, one of the sadhus, one of the sages, will give what's known as, I'm pretty sure it's Shruti Pal. It's a fruit. Here's a fruit. So basically it means anyone who hears or reads this narration. Now we just read it. So that's pretty awesome. And that means we'll become a devotee of the personality of Godhead. Well, that's good. I mean, we're already kind of trying to be a devotee, but it's like, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and Garuda's going to carry us.
I was carried by Garuda, and he thereafter
well.
enters into the abode. I think it means that he becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is carried by Garuda. And he, small h, thereafter enters the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in transcendental loving service of the Lord. I mean, you can't do that. Yeah, so, I mean, Garuda might come to pick you up, that's for sure.
Yeah, he might come to peck me more like.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he just comes to pet Krishna's devotees.
Well.
But, yeah, anyway, so this is a lovely, lovely fruit, and it's very wonderful to, yeah, I agree. It's like, there's a certain satisfaction that comes from like, okay, so that means now we need to start the 4th canto.
Yes.
Now the 3rd canto was entitled, if I'm not mistaken, Status Quo.
Yes.
And the 4th canto...
Well, we'll see when we pick it up in the next reading. How's that?
Okay. All right. Thank you all very, very much. Grantarai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Canto 3 Ki Jai. Please read the Bhagavatam. You can see slowly and steadily we're making our way through it. You can also do the same. Do this with your friends, family, loved ones, like that. And remember, if you have time, you can click on that little like button down there and share button, and you can also
comment
and
read,
subscribe.
Okay,
thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.